I would argue further, there are thousands and millions of people who are in dysfunctional and crazy relationships, and they stay in them because they have become convinced that love is supposed to be crazy. And since love is supposed to be crazy, the fact that we are engaged in new heights of craziness only confirms the fact that we must be in love with each other. I have seen good people destroyed in bad relationships because they accepted the insanity of covenant with people who did not mean them any good. But you must ask, can I preach this like I feel? You must ask yourself a question. For those of you who find yourself stuck in this dysfunctional cycle of craziness, where you cuss each other out, and then make up, and then cuss each other out, and then throw stuff at each other, and then cuss each other out. I know you're not going to say nothing because you don't want me to know that that's what happens in your house. But let me tell you something. If God is love, then tell me how love can be crazy. If God is love, then how can love be crazy? Since God is himself the rational principle of the universe. He is the origin and the source of reason. He is the logic that logic uses to create the logic by which it governs the universe. If God is love, then how can love be crazy? Person might say, take your mind with you next time. Don't you go on a trip with nobody and let your heart determine the destination, and don't at least pack your mind somewhere in the luggage. You got to pack your mind. You can't leave your mind. You can't let your heart guide you. Your heart is promiscuous. Your heart is a tramp. Your heart is a tramp. Your heart is promiscuous. If he looked fine, your heart after it. If she looked fine, your heart wanted. You can't follow your heart. Your heart will have you broke, homeless with one tooth and no hair. Dropped out of, come on, act like you ain't ever been there. You know you followed your heart. And it got you in trouble. Somebody just touch up and say, heart, shut up. Need my heart to shut up. Don't listen to your heart. It's promiscuous. It's tramp. It's sleazy. It's sleazy. I said your heart is sleazy. Your heart fell in love with the job you had now. Then you were there for 6 months, and what happened? I ain't feeling it no more. Because your heart is sleazy. Just flash something in front of the heart and you're going chasing after it. That's why Jesus said you love God with what? Your mind. Can't leave your mind at home. I'll tell you something. You see, your heart will have you connected to people who make you feel good but don't make your life any better. Come on, go with me. I'm about to go somewhere on this. Your heart will have you connected to people who make you feel good but don't make you any better. But you have to ask yourself, what good is satisfaction without fulfillment? What is the blessing of satisfaction if it comes without fulfillment? To be satisfied is to be stimulated. And the heart loves stimulation. I said the heart loves stimulation. You give the heart some stimulation, the heart is fine. The heart will create a reason to stay just to get stimulation. Where the grown folks at in here? The heart will convince you of some stuff because the heart says, if we get one more piece of stimulation, everything will be all right. The heart wants stimulation, but that's not fulfillment. Fulfillment is to abide in a wholeness based upon a power that worketh in us. The mind is after fulfillment, while the heart will settle for stimulation. And what happens is that there is a war inside of us. relationship should be crazy, then we think that it must be good if it don't make no sense. Satisfaction without fulfillment. By the time the mind it'll never have peace because it knows too much about you. And the stimulating circumstances of a relationship do not satisfy the demands of the mind, because whenever the mind has to settle in something that is contrary to what it knows about you, the mind has no peace. It cannot rest easily in something that it knows is beneath the standard of your birthright. The mind knows what you have failed to understand. The mind has perceived a knowledge about you that your heart cannot perceive. And the mind knows that you have been created to do exceedingly and abundantly. The mind knows that there is inside of you oceans of possibility, rivers of genius, and buckets of capacity. When the mind sees you settling for stimulation, when the mind sees you trying to make yourself small so you can fit in his world, when the mind sees you existing between the claps of somebody's hands, there, between the claps of his hands, you find your joy. When he claps, you find your joy. You make your life in your space between the claps of his hands, because his validation, her validation, brings you joy and stimulation. And there you exist between that space. You eat there, you drink there, you love there, but you're dying there. Because the mind knows that you are too big to exist in a small place. Whenever you try to convince yourself that it's okay for me to be here, it's okay for it to be like this, your mind agitates. Your mind begins to fixate. Your mind begins to pulsate with a reckless revolution, because it will not, it shall not, and it cannot go along with the craziness that you have gotten yourself into. Understand this, because I want you to know that you're better than this. Yes, come on, go with me now. You're better than this. Come on, drink it slow. You're better than this. Come on, don't be scared to look at me. You're better than this. I said you're better than this. I don't care what he told you, you're better than this. I don't care what she said, you're better than this. I don't care what your mama said you'd never be, you're better than this. You deserve better than this. God said that you were the head and not the tail. God said that no weapon formed against you would prosper. And now one phone call, one email, one text message, you're falling apart. Can't eat, can't go to work, can't dance, and can't smile. I came to tell you that you're better than this. I can't let it go. I got my foot on it. You're better than this. You're not as small as he makes you out to be. You're not as silly as she claims you are. You are better than this. And you got to own it. You got to believe it. You got to assume it. You got to wrap it around your neck like a cloak in the night, by which you go out to face the bruising darkness, knowing that in your bosom is the power of light. You must embrace it. You must walk in it. You must eat it like oatmeal and cereal. God, I feel like throwing my shoe at somebody. You are better than this. I said you're better. I said you're better. I said you're better. I said you're better. Let's change that. I said you're great. You have greatness inside of you. You have an anointing inside of you.